everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show. Syndicated tonight. We're recording early just because it's got to work that way this week. And I want to thank everyone for joining us this week. We've got a lot of people here hanging out, and I'm glad to see you. And if you've got anything to interject a little later on, let us know in the chat. Howie's going to monitor that. Speaking of, Howie is our guy. Howie is our superstar engineer, producer. He's my wingman.
Yes.
What's up, Howie?
Always with you, brother. Always.
And as always, we have Pastor Jay from Swinging Temecula.
And we love that guy.
We love him too.
7-Up.
Of course you are. Now, we all hung out earlier today, right?
Yes, we did.
We did.
Because it was almost the end of the world.
I'm still not right about it. I'm really not. It's going to take days, maybe weeks for me to recover from.
You know what? Your predictions were correct. There were the marked safe from the great, outage and blah, blah, blah.
I haven't been on yet. And that's kind of the best part is I'm just like you know what? I made it 6 hours without Facebook and Instagram. Well, let's see how long we can go.
Yeah.
I think I made one post that says something like, so what, this wasn't the end of times after all?
Yeah. Well, I've got thunder, lightning, and rain in Temecula at night in October. So it could be you're
freaking about that, aren't you?
Well, I've got about 30 minutes of video that I'm going to cut down to single clips because it was spectacular to see. Now, you guys take for granted you have weather. I don't. But granted, when you guys are also freezing to death and things are like cramping up, I'm at the pool getting
you're sipping on mojitos
at 10 in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a give and a take.
Either is. I did a video today that was pretty similar to what Howie just did a show on.
Yes.
Yeah. A little different, though. I was doing more of a cost analysis thing because I'm putting together this rig for my nephew's wedding that's coming up, believe it or not, on a Wednesday, which is really weird.
That's awesome, though. Wednesday wedding.
It is. I've told the story before. I don't know if I've told it in the chill room or not while we were recording, but my nephew contacts me and says, "Hey, I'm getting married." Like, cool. He's like, "Okay, I'm getting married on a Wednesday in October. Can you come?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can come. You're my nephew. I'll make it down. Week's perfect for me. During the week is better than weekends for me. So yeah, I'll be there." And he talks about, it's going to be really small. Not a lot of people. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, would you like me to bring some music? Thinking to myself, I'll put a Maui 5 Go in the trunk of my mom's new little roller skate car and we'll drive down there. And it's a nice new car. He says, "Yeah, that'd be great. I'm going to need you for ceremony.
Here it comes. Yeah.
Wireless mic. And we're going to have 75 people indoors for dinner. And we're going to grand entrance. We want a cake cutting song." And,
yep.
Okay. So, I took the bait and, I'm happy to do it for him. But it wasn't what I would have offered to do that, but I wasn't offering to do that. I was offering to bring a speaker because there was going to be that many people and he wasn't going to have anything. But now he's having a
potluck out in the backyard. He's got a full-blown wedding.
Yeah. And a beautiful venue with very few people. But anyway, so I'm putting all this stuff together today. And I'm thinking to myself, my gosh, I've got to get this little Colorado Sunlight lithium ion power pack charged. I have to make sure that my Maui 5 Go has a charge in it. I have to make sure that I have a tablet stand, which I lost, by the way. It's in Dad's truck. I had to call Mom to find the thing because it's part of my ceremony system. A lot of prep to do because I'm going to be like at my brother's house tomorrow night. I'm not going to have like my resources that I normally do to grab last minute music, to grab last minute equipment. I got to make sure I have everything tonight before I go. And it got me thinking, geez, if I lost one thing, if the Maui 5 died, if the lithium ion power pack died, if my mixing board died, if my tablet for ceremony died, it would suck. But the big question is, how many DJs out there can actually afford to replace this stuff based on what they're charging for events? That was the big question.
Good
Are we
point.
charging enough to cover our costs on this stuff? Because
Yes.
it's more than just accumulating things, right? I mean, you
Right.
also have to replace things when they fail.
Yep.
Rachel
Mm.
talked about that on your show with the
Mm.
laptops.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and they do
Laptops are a
fail.
big expense.
It's a good idea to have backup. But even if you got a backup laptop, right? Let's say, like, I got two Asus Republic of Gamers laptops. One's my main, one's my backup. My backup is newer than my main. It's not that old. And
Do you
I hardly have any
rotate through?
problem.
Do you like with
No.
hard drives? Do you if you get a new hard drive, the hard drive you're using now takes a step back? Like every year, I get a new hard drive. The hard drive that I've used becomes I physically write number 2 on it,
Right.
and the new hard drive becomes number 1. So I know I've
Right.
always and I sync them. Now next year I'll get another hard drive, and 2 will become 3, 1 will become 2. So I end up with a stack. I have about 6
Right.
hard drives.
Right.
But
I've
is
got
it-
I have plenty of backup in that
Right.
regard.
Exactly.
But I just prefer the older computer. It's got Windows 7 on it. I like it better than 8 for what
I mean,
I'm
whatever
running.
you need to use at the gig is what you should use.
Yeah, the other one does work though. It works great. At any rate, if my old laptop that I'm using as my main dies and I go to my newer laptop, which is my backup laptop,
Yep.
I'm still liking. I know I'm liking a backup laptop again.
So you need to get another one.
Yeah, that's an expense. That's all I'm
Of
saying.
course it is. Yeah.
You know, even if you have all the things, you have to be able to replace them. Are you charging enough at your events to do this? Because I don't think some
Are you
people
building into the cost what it would cost if the day before the wedding you're doing this Saturday, your laptop went out and your speakers went out?
just in
are you
general. I
gonna
mean,
do?
obviously, you're not going to charge for, your whole rig per gig. I mean, that would be ridiculous.
No.
You know?
But can you break it down as a business and say,
Right.
charge $1,000 a wedding? Of that $1,000, $100 from every wedding goes to this. Because I think
Yeah, something.
I look at things
Yeah.
as a cost-effective investment. If I wanted to get sparklers, as I'm not going to, but as an example, I'm going to go buy 4 cold sparklers, and I think they're running for $500 a piece. That's $2,000.
Yeah.
I have to say, how much can I rent them for, and how many clients want to rent them? So what I've always done, which may help new DJs or old DJs, whoever it's going to help, when I got into uplighting, I bought uplighting at DJ Expo 2007, before I met you, Brian. And what I had done was I'd started to see it in my marketplace. So I projected a year out and called my clients and said, hey, bride from January of 2008, on your contract, I don't have any uplighting, but it's something I'm now offering. I offer 6 lights to new clients for $350, but since you've already booked me, I can do it for you for $250. Well, every single client said yes. So then when I went to Expo in 2007 in August, I already had the seed money to buy the lighting because the
Right.
client's a year ahead. So I think part of
Sure.
our business cost is looking down the road. What if I have to replace something? What's the actual cost? Because computers $1,000, speakers are $2,000, the rig is $1,000. The part that we never really talk about is the music. I mean, I value my
Right.
hard drives. Honestly, there's 800 gigs of music on my hard drives. If I had to go buy that today, what am I, 40 grand?
Well, here's how I
50,000?
do it. Here's how I do it, Jay. I've got it figured out, and I can't break it down for you off the top of my head as eloquently as I could if I had it in front of me to look at.
Right.
But I have it broke down where my cost per event is, and this is before ceremony system. My cost per event is about $625. And what I
Okay.
base that off of is 5% of the retail cost of everything that I'm bringing, plus out of pocket expenses, plus a percentage of my music service per month. So I got to be fair about this. There are some months that I gig more than others, right? So let's say that my music service costs $100 per month. All right. Let's say that I can count on gigging 4 times a month. If this is the case, $25 for music. Plus, I'm also padding in additional downloads. Sometimes I'm downloading 2 songs. Sometimes I'm downloading 20. They're like $1.29 a piece. So
that's my point. Like, how much if you had to replace?
So you pad 20 into that. So at any rate, every gig that I do, and I'll tell people this, look, you don't understand. My cost is this. All right. For 20 after 20 events at 5% retail cost of stuff, I can replace everything I own if I want to. And that's probably fair for some of the things that I have. Don't you think, Howie?
We have a comment here from Lou. It says,
well, does Lou want to chime in? You can jump in, Lou. Go ahead.
That 100% that cost replacement or updating needs to be incorporated into one's prices. And I do that because I do set aside money from each gig, because whether it's broken or not, I buy a new laptop every 5 years. And like Jay said, with the hard drives, they move down. I have 4 Asuses.
Right.
But this, and then that last one in line, that's what I'm on right now. But my gig laptop, no.
It's funny, Howie. I'm thinking about this. I feel like you've either got your business people out there, then you get your hobbyists, but a lot of DJs are somewhere in between.
Most are not business savvy.
But most are somewhere in between.
No, I'm saying they could do 1,000 events a year. It doesn't make them business savvy. Because if they're not LLC, S Corp, if they're DBA, they're looking at it through the tunnel vision, which I'm DBA, by the way. I show up, I do my business. I'm the only one involved, doing business as, versus if you're LLC, you've already gone in, you're incorporating, you're like, here's here's my liability, here's my cost analysis, here's ROI. I view it as simply this. I'm going to go do a service. It's my job. I'm going to get paid for it, and I have to look down the road and say, where do I stand? Now, Howie says every 5 he gets a new laptop.
Right.
I'm presently running the laptop that I'm speaking to you on right now, did 2 events last week. This is a mid-2013 MacBook Air, and it is bulletproof and flawless. And its backup is a 2015 at the time, $3,875 MacBook Pro. And behind those 2 are 2 more MacBook Pros. So the redundancy issue becomes, when should I replace this? The reason this one, pointing at the one I'm on, is still running in great shape. And if you went to the DJ Expo 2019 1000 SRT with like 400 people seminar I did, this is the actual laptop that did that seminar. And everyone got freaked out going, you can't use old laptops. I'm like, this is only for DJing. Now it's only for DJing in the chill room. This doesn't do anything else.
Right.
I don't overheat it. Right. I don't put it in harm's way. I don't beat it up. It sits in a bag. It's taken care of. If you care for your gear, you can expect a certain amount of time. And I don't want to get into the Mac PC thing, but it ultimately comes down to you have a business to run. You get the best gear that you can afford to do the job that you need to, and then replace it when you feel comfortable. My hard drives are solid state. If they don't break in the first month, they probably won't.
Speaking of hard drives, we have a comment here from Rachel about cloud storage option is always.
I think I saw one from Joel too about cloud storage.
Cloud storage. And if the house burned down and you lost all your hard drives, she can get that from Backblaze, and she's got her music back.
Well, they say 3 backups.
Yes.
On site, in the cloud, off site. My mother-in-law has a 2 terabyte drive with all of my music at her house. My hard drives are right here in my backpack 2 feet away. And now I'm in the midst of either Backblaze, Dropbox. There's two other ones I'm looking at to see where to put it. Now, Joel will probably come in a second and say, well, Jay, if you left Serato and went to Rekordbox, you could do the professional plan. And for $29 a month, the Rekordbox professional plan now allows 8 devices and unlimited Dropbox storage, as in you have 7 terabytes of music. That's okay. Upload it. And then you can call that music back on 8 different devices. So I think that's, as an industry insider, I can tell you that's where the industry is going. In 5 years, I expect to see a controller that only works off of its own Wi-Fi drive, pulling music off the clouds.
Yes, Joel
works as only a streaming device.
You were right. Joel made a comment there. 3-2-1 strategy.
Go ahead, Joel. Tell us how it's done.
Now, I could do an entire show on this topic of backup because I'm in IT and this is what I do at a corporate level to back up everything. But I treat my home computers just like I treat my corporate computers. I have my desktop and I have my DJ laptop. Both of them are backed up frequently to my QNAP NAS locally. The QNAP then pushes all the backups to the cloud. And I used to use Google Drive, but I didn't like their structure. Their plan had a 2 terabyte and a 10 terabyte. I went to Backblaze, which only charges what you push up, and it's $15 a month for 3.5 terabytes. Unless I need a file back, then I'm going to charge you for it. But again, if my house burned down right now, for $2,000, I could build a laptop and a desktop and completely restore all of my files, all of my financials, all of my music, all of my playlists, everything on both computers because they're a copy of each other. So,
by the way, I have to mention, because you mentioned Backblaze, Pulse turned me on to Backblaze.
Mm-hmm.
And as a DJ, here's a benefit of Backblaze. If you upload all your music, they give you 2 options. You can contact them and they will literally overnight you a physical hard drive of everything you've given them. I think it's like a $200 cost. Or you can simply re-download everything, which might take weeks. So as a DJ, it would be kind of cool. Like, I'll be honest, I'm surprised like some DJ company hasn't jumped in the mix and said, screw it, let's buy a bunch of storage and only deal with DJs, get all their music. And then if they, on a Wednesday, everything crashes, we'll overnight a hard drive to them so they're good for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the benefit of Backblaze. They give you a physical hard drive, UPS it over to you, and by that weekend, boom, you're back in business. But I mean, how many hard drives do you have at home now, Joel, Howie, Brian? I have about 7 in this closet behind me.
Let me tell you what I do. I'm going to cut you off because if I don't, it's going to be the whole hour. So
wait a second, I got more.
Yeah, I know you do. I cut your ass off. I got to try to remember what I was going to say before you cut me off 10 minutes ago. So first thing I want to say is the way I back it up is I just share my hard drive with all my friends.
I was saying,
because that's how you.
I have one marked Brian, but I don't know what that's on.
Right, I don't know what that means. But no, what I was just going to say earlier was, some people are professional DJs. They run this as a business. Some people are hobbyists. I think most people are probably somewhere in the middle there. They do make money at this, or they at least collect some money from this, but they're not necessarily looking at it strictly as business. They do some artistic stuff here and there, which, I'm all for. Have fun, do what you got to do. But my point of this whole thing was, regardless, it doesn't matter if you are a semi-pro or a pro, you still need to be able to somehow replace stuff that goes bad.
Right.
And have those backup plans and have those funds.
And that's a cost. It's a cost, right?
And if you're lucky, make a little bit of profit while you're at it. Right. It's not enough just to pay for your equipment.
What?
The technology, we become dependent on this technology. It's grown and it's gotten more functional and everybody uses it. And we've become dependent on it for our business. You got to have a plan. Just like Rachel was talking tonight on the Howie show.
Sure.
Well, I don't want to give it away, but we're talking about backup plans. When you're DJing, there's also backup plans for your business.
Yes. As a matter of fact, DJ Chris Disc mentions Crash Plan for small business works ideal for storage, $10 per computer per month.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I haven't heard of that one, but Backblaze I've heard of.
Yeah. There are many cloud providers out there, and each has similar services, and some have unique services. Like Backblaze's unique service, like if you need the files, they'll put it on a disk and overnight it to you. The record box that Jay was talking about with the Dropbox is a great concept and is probably the future of the way DJs, because it allows you to sync up everything from one. So if I put it on a desktop, it just pushes to the cloud. I don't even have to think about it. It does it automatically. Now, I had a bad experience with Dropbox, so I'm not real great with that software, although I haven't tested the new cloud functionality. So I have a different format, but
and I think it'll start to push as you move forward. I mean, it's a huge step. And when I say unlimited, people have all been like, yeah, what does that mean? And I'm like, it's not like your cell phone with data. I have unlimited data on my cell phone until I get to a certain point, and then they throttle it back.
Right.
The Rekordbox
limited lifetime
professional
warranty
plan. Yeah, pretty much. The Rekordbox professional plan is genuinely set up, because I can't remember what I pay for 2 terabytes on Dropbox a year, but I think it's $120. This would be close to $250 a year, but I can put up 8 terabytes of music and video and all that, along with other files, by the way, because you have one account.
I was going to say 8 gigs, surely not.
No, but you guys may or may not remember, we had 2 devices that Pioneer DJ made back in the day called the Aero and the R1. And they both had something that they created their own Wi-Fi network within the device so that you could get wireless to a tablet and your phone, and it was really cool. But like I said, I think within the next 5 years, you're going to see controllers come out and you're going to go, what am I using for music? Oh, this has this incredible 5G connectivity, and you're going to be able to do this, this, and this. The problem will always be connection. I work the majority of my gigs at 2 different places, and connection is such an issue that I can't stream. And I've had this talk with other DJs about streaming. I think it'd be great to stream. I think it'd be great to have the streaming service available for that random track once a night that you're like, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have, Backstreet Boys, the B-side, whatever, but I can get it.
Let me tell you a story, Jay. Before you go any further, let me tell you a story. And I'm going to have to look to see. Go ahead. Keep talking for a minute, and then I'm going to just jump in here because I got a cool story for you.
Okay. But I think that's part of it. I got very fortunate early in my career by running yachts. And what made that fortunate was, at the time, and it hasn't changed, if you're on a yacht with 200 people and it leaves the dock and goes in the bay and there's a problem, it can't turn around and come back. It has to ask the Coast Guard and whoever's running the bay at the time, what's going on in the dock? Oh, we have a boat there. Oh, so we can't come back in and dock? No, you can't come in for 45 minutes. Oh, okay. And
it's like landing a plane.
Well, yeah, pretty much. So I understood day one, outside of my pager, that you could text onto my pager, phone number 911. I couldn't get you what you needed. So I had to be really cognizant of backup. And I'll be honest, the one thing we haven't mentioned, the biggest issue we had was cables. It was cables that would crack. the cable wouldn't work. Somebody stepped on it, a speaker went on it, whatever. So I always went for that end. The music was the last of it because back then it was on CDs. So I couldn't leave you, I could leave you the Platinum series back in the day, which I had the Mobile Beat 400, and I left a copy with every rig we sent out. But, it's that stuff too. It's not just the big high price music. It's the cables.
Let me tell you a story, Jay.
Phones, whatever.
This is my concern. And what I need you to do, Joel and Jay, is tell me why this isn't really a concern. Tell me why I'm being irrational or something. All right.
Are you sitting in like a rocking chair on the front porch doing this with a piece of hay out of your mouth?
Piece of hay sticking out of my...
Yeah, that's the vibe. Overalls?
Exactly.
There's a bloodhound right next to you, right next to a thing that has 3 X's on it.
So there's a song called Yikin. Are you familiar with it?
No.
It is a twerky hip hop song from about
that would explain
2014. Anybody in the room know what I'm talking about? Yikin.
I bet James does. I bet Jimmy Spins probably got that on his playlist.
So anyway,
freestyle version.
Anyway, so before I started doing these homecoming events, I was asking on social media, just for fun, more of an engagement than an actual inquiry, hey, what do you recommend for new music? And a few people said, yeah, you got to do Yikin. The kids really like Yikin. So, a lot of people never heard of it. But anyway, this is like the big song that several people said you should have. So I thought, let's check this out. So I went on YouTube to hear it. And, very explicit, incredibly explicit. So I'm like, okay, is there a clean version? Yes, there is. And I heard the clean version. Well, okay, fine, I'll grab it. It's $1.29 just in case they ask for it. I have it. By the way, before I go any further, I never played the track. All right. So I went on Amazon. Okay. Steve Bezos, one of the richest guys in the world, runs the site. Pretty tight site, right? I go on there and I'm looking for Yikin. Explicit. Oh, clean version. So I click on it and I'm about ready to hit the download button, but some of the lingly in the song was just so incredibly, oh my gosh. I thought, you know what? I better preview it before I go ahead and buy it. Mm-hmm. So I did. And it was super filthy. It was not edited, but it was listed as edited.
Wow.
I went through the single. They had like the single that you can get with several versions on it. I went through every one of them, and they all said explicit, and I found the clean version within that. And I listened to the whole thing, grabbed it, listened to it again, make sure I didn't miss anything. So my point is this. We are relying a lot on, I guess they're music content providers, on what's good and what's not. So let's say people talking about, oh yeah, you can just, Beatport. Somebody said Beatport. There are different music services you can use. I know you go on VDJ. There's a bunch of streaming services you can use. Are you going to put your reputation on the line and depend on content providers of music to make the right selection for you? And I'll go a little further before I pause here. The high school that I did, the homecoming on Saturday, the advisor that hired me, I'd worked with them before, but nobody else there knew me. So he was like, yeah, this is the guy you want, bring him in. So I come in and they've got all these younger teachers there, coaches and whatever. And they're like, hey man, good to see you. By the way, all clean music, right? I'm like, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Says, well, we had a prom last minute last year, and the DJ played WAP, and he played the unedited version of WAP. Whoa. And we went up to him and we said, hey, you can't play this. And he said, hey, it's what the kids want to hear. He was streaming the thing. I don't know if it's paying him. I don't know if it was clean or explicit or not, but the school shut him down on the spot and the prom was over.
Wow.
So I'm thinking about this and thinking, you know what? that's pretty reasonable. If I was a faculty member at a school and I was in charge of this or an advisor or something, and somebody came in and did that, I wouldn't know what to do either. I would have to say, it's over, guys. Sorry. I apologize to anybody who was offended. It's over. Everything I own is in my hard drive. I own it. I've previewed it. I know what it is. And you know what? I trust my friends at Promo Only to do the right thing. If they make a mistake, they're going to tell me they made it. I trust my friends at Top Pitch USA to do the right thing. They know how important this is, and this is why the services cost what they cost. But Amazon got it wrong on that track. If I would have just, because you can do that. You can just play songs off of Amazon. You can just play them. If I would have just said, you know what, I want to buy this. I'm just going to stream it. I got internet. It's free. You don't got to pay the $1.99 or $1.29. I'm just going to stream the thing. And I hit the clean version, would have been a disaster. Now you tell me how I should be confident about streaming music, unless it's from a cloud I own.
Okay, and I'll make this very simple and quick. Excuse me. One, I wouldn't ever suggest anyone look at streaming as a full-time occupation. Streaming to me is the opportunity to grab a track that you would rather not buy but play once. Side note, I just looked up Yikin by like Chunky E featuring Baby with E40. Right. The video alone is so bad that and I heard about 10 seconds of it. I'm like, okay, this sucks.
Well, I told you it's filthy.
Oh, it's really bad.
Yeah.
One, I think it's the DJ's obligation and job to ahead of time establish what's acceptable and what's not. So that should have taken the prom DJ out of the picture by him saying it's what the kids want. Yeah, the kids want a lot of stuff. They want some weed too. Are you going to show up with bags of weed?
Right.
I'll tell you, the only time I've gotten burned was a song called Beautiful by James Blunt. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know there's
and I know the lyric you're thinking of.
No, thinking. I played it at a wedding, and I didn't know there was an edited version. And he goes, effing high. And I was like, and no one noticed it, or apparently no one cared, so I got away with it. But I think it's essential, and I don't want to get into the moral police thing, but like you, I pride myself on always having the FCC version. And that's where streaming gets dicey, because previewing when you're streaming, doing a preview can get difficult. With Tidal, you may be able to get it, but you have to do it almost in real time. So to preview it is where things get a little questionable. So in that instance, or if there's even the slightest thought it might go south, I hit the filter button and put my fingers first and thumb on the knob, prepared to just filter it in one or two directions and then go to the next song.
I mean, 7 second delay isn't an option for us live.
No, it's not. That's the problem. We can't get in front of it. That's the problem. There is no 7 seconds.
This is just why I'm so comfortable with my library.
No, so am I.
I know what it is.
I think the streaming aspect is...
I'm sorry. No, I'm just going to say I'm also comfortable with saying people like Nick Hahn and Ada, I got my back. And when I play a track that I'm not familiar with, that I just downloaded, because I got my updates from Promo or Top Hits on Thursday, and it's a Friday gig, and I don't know this tune.
No, you're fine.
If it says clean or squeaky clean, I trust my reputation with these guys.
I do too. And both of them.
But I don't know if I trust Spotify. I don't know if I trust Beatport. I don't know if I trust everybody.
Well, you know what? You know where it comes into play? I talked to Christian Saturday after my wedding. He had a gig. And he got there, and the client came over and said, hey, you know what? We've got a lot of Arabics, here, and they'd love some Arabic music.
Right.
He goes, oh, okay. So he has Tidal within Rekordbox. He looks at his collection, then goes to Tidal and types in, Persian, Arabic, Chaldean, all these different titles. Ends up with a thing called Arabic Chill Lounge. Hits play, starts playing it. Client's like, oh my God, it's perfect. Thank you so much. because not only do they have music, but they have playlists that people have populated. That's where I think it will come in handy.
Oh no!
Still,
Don't get me wrong.
No,
I see the
still think
benefits.
You
of this.
should know. You should here. I'll give you a great example. Saturday night, my wedding. This is what it was through another company, so it wasn't my client. It was through a company that I was working with. The bride said for prelude music, she wanted cool indie. And her example was Radiohead. What is it? Arpeggi and Watercolor. There's like one, or Waterfall. There's one song and it's two names. So I put together my own list. Then for cocktail, she wanted electro pop, disco soul. That was what she wanted. And I made my playlist together. And she was beside herself happy. And by the way, if electropop disco soul comes up, Purple Disco Machine from
I know
Only,
Purple Disco Machine.
I ran that like there was no tomorrow, along with Daft Punk, because the whole life is music and this and that and digital love, and they were loving it. So,
And I appreciate everything you're telling me right now, but you still haven't put my mind at ease.
no, I don't think I can.
No,
I'm never going
to be okay.
No, it's not going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go song by song. No, I don't. Brian, let's be blunt. We're too old to let go of the reality of owning music. If you're 23 years old and you're a DJ and you're looking around going, man, I don't have all this old stuff, but if I join a streaming service for $10 a month, I can get access to it. Why wouldn't I just do that?
Well, let me ask Jill real quick, because I'm curious, and I'm a techno moron. I'm not a technophobe. I'm a techno idiot. So, what you're telling me is, I'm thinking I heard you right, because you said a lot of things and it was just a lot of words. Because I'm not very smart. What I think you just said was earlier that you can take your music and put it cloudy in the sky, in the cloud, and then you could stream your own library, right? If you wanted to.
You can download.
Well, Rekordbox Cloud
Won't stream.
It's more of an organizing tool, not a streaming tool.
You can get access to it. It's backup.
The music goes like you have your library, 50,000 songs.
Sure.
But you're not going to carry 50,000 songs on your USB.
Right.
You're going to carry 5,000.
Right.
But you get to the gig and you're missing something, but it's on your cloud drive. So your laptop can bring it down and put it on your USB and you're ready to go.
Okay.
You're not going to stream from the cloud in that realm.
I'm trying to find a compromise where I know the music, I trust the music, and I can still stream it.
I would look at something, honestly, like Tidal. I mean, I've tested Tidal. I've tested BeatSource. BeatSource is really good because they're working with another company. But what I liked about Tidal was they had a ton of music from things that I wouldn't use. Like they had tons of like old blues stuff, and they had tons of old rock stuff that, you know, when they asked me to, I got beta tested in with them, and I'm like, fine. I downloaded like 1,000 songs. The only thing I didn't like was that when I closed the computer and then reopened it, all that music was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So it was only good in the moment. So,
Well, Chris, yeah.
you know, for now, Brian, think of streaming as, hey man,
Not
do you
an
have the
option.
live Leonard Skinner version from this? I don't. Oh my God, it's my dad's favorite song, and he's on his deathbed, and he's over there in the corner. It would make
I would be
his
like, does
night.
he like something else?
You would, but there's also a moment where you would say, you know what, damn it, if I can get it and I don't have it on Amazon and iTunes is, oh man, wait a second, I have this streaming service. Let me try it if I have good Wi-Fi, if I have good internet. Let me type it in. Oh, there it
You're
is.
working this, man. I feel like I'm in a car dealership and I'm telling you, hey man,
No, I don't
want
want
this minivan.
the best part.
I
I'm
don't
not-
want it because the crash tests are terrible on this thing. I'm like, dude, it's got cup holders and it's got anti-lock brakes and it's got backup cameras and it's the cool color and it's got
It's
rims
not what
on it.
you
I'm like,
want.
yeah, but the
it's-
crash test sucks.
No.
And we're
Brian,
going to throw in free
what you want,
undercoating.
but it might be what you need. It's not what you want, but it might be what you need.
Okay, Mick Jagger.
I'm just saying. because you can't always get what you want.
That was good. That was good.
You
I like
can't
that.
always get what you want.
Many of the streaming services have gone in different directions on how they've done it. Now, BeatSource, and a lot of their directions weren't guided by DJs in the beginning of the evolution. Now, BeatSource recently, teaming with Rekordbox, has changed their direction, so they start to provide more and more detail that DJs want to see. But Tidal,
Yeah.
I have a DJ buddy. We did a party together, and he has Denon SC5000s, and he's got a hotspot on his phone, and he's streaming everything.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there working with him, and I'm mixing sometime. Now, the interesting thing about that is I took my Rekordbox USB with me, plugged it in his SC5000, and had my library. We had his library on USBs and Tidal all at the same time. So we, somebody come up and ask for something. In fact, he was streaming everything off of Tidal. Even if he had it on the USB, he was still streaming it. He was testing and getting used to it. But some of the quality of the video, of the files, like WAV files or AIFF files on the Tidal, are better than the MP3s that we're playing. And he prefers to do it that way. And it was great.
The side though too, because Pulse had a track the other night that he has the upgrade plan, so he should get high audio quality.
Yeah.
And he had a track coming at 96K, and he's like, "This makes no sense."
Yeah. This weekend I did a wedding, and I wish I'd have had the streaming. The bridal party, the bachelorettes or the bachelors tried to spoof the groom. They wanted a siren for a fire, and they were doing something. They came in Fireball. They wanted a siren, and all I had was the siren embedded in Rekordbox, which is a DJ siren. It's not a fire engine siren. If I'd have had the 12-inch version of "You Dropped the Bomb on Me" from Gap Band that has that siren at the beginning of it, I could have done that, and I could have pulled it off the streaming and done it that way. But again, that's a one-off.
I think the thing we're not talking about that is the bigger issue is that we're coming at this whole thing from our perspective. Clients are coming at it from reality of today. When I got a sub, it wasn't, and I talked to Brian for months, maybe a year, about, man, I need a sub because my clients have these cars that have great stereos. I need to have that booming bass. And he's like, oh, get the EV ZXLA1, you'll be good, put it onto the table, it'll add enough bass. And I'm like, great point. So I did. The problem today is I've got a 19 and a 15-year-old. They don't own a song. They don't own a track. Connor and I went down recently to San Diego, and he had the greatest yacht rock list I've ever heard. And I'm like, this is like one great banger after another. Where are you getting this? Oh, I pay premium YouTube. It's YouTube Music. So in his world, his access to great music is his phone away. Our clients in the next 5-10 years, that's the reality, Brian. So I don't say we get on board with streaming. I say we get on board with understanding we need to portray, I know more than you about music, because there's no more stores. They're not running to Amoeba and Target and Tower and Virgin and Strawberry. They're not going there going, I just got this new Kiss album. Do you have this song? Yes, I do, because I bought it too. Their access to music is unlimited. And the software like DJ by Algorithm makes it harder for us sometimes, because they can go, well, I do this every Friday at my house with like 30 of my friends. I just DJ a set. Well, you actually don't. The software does. The one benefit we have that will never change, we're physically there to read the crowd. I don't care how good technology gets. I don't care how good AI and VR and everything else gets. It will never get good enough that it can look at a crowd and go, oh, I don't care. I guarantee this song will kill next. And when it does, Saturday night, Theatrical Groom. He's an actor. Bride, Into the Dramas.
I'm so
You know what
tired.
track I dropped? Queen,
I can't
Don't
keep
Stop
up.
Me Now. And you know what happened?
my God.
Blew up. You know why? Because that's the right crowd. And you know what track I dropped afterward? shut up and dance. You know why? Because they were freaking out and they loved it. And they looked at me as a god, as a DJ. That's what I do.
Tomato soup, Jake. 5 minutes. Go.
You know, the thing about tomato soup, Brian, is if you dip grilled cheese in it, watch it, what kind of grilled cheese you dip in it. And oyster crackers, that's my jam. Love me some good oyster crackers with it. If you do Campbell's, do half milk, half water in the can when you mix it in.
Jake,
You
those
did ask for it,
transitions.
Brian.
Yeah, I did.
You know, I come in here and do shows by myself all day long.
All day long. You just forget to record them. So, okay, since this is the Tuesday Night Music Show, we have a few minutes left. So my XM receiver is junk in my Suburban, and I haven't really driven my Suburban much in the last year. I just kind of got the stereo to work, not the whole thing, but I can kind of hear music and I can take hands-free calls and things. So I'm trying out the radio, and I'm listening to local stations, and I haven't listened to local radio in a long time. And I heard something
App.
that I was like, what is this? So I thought I'd ask the room if anybody knows what it is, because I'm not sure what it is. Does anybody in here know the song by Cerrone, Supernature?
Yes. It's an old disco song from the late 70s.
Somebody sampled it, and it's in a new song.
It's a TikTok song.
Yep.
Yeah.
September, Pretty Young Thing, Cerrone. These kids are using older music in these TikTok videos.
Yeah. There's an old Frankie Valli track that got redone by a 70s group, then redone in like 2018. And that's a huge TikTok. I can't remember the track.
Oh, what a
It's
night.
originally, no, it's not Oh What a Night. No, it's not even a big hit, but it's a Frankie Valli. And a guy on TikTok, where I am sometimes, put up a video that showed, here's the new version. Here's the hip hop version from the like 90s. Here's the original from, Frankie Valli.
By the way, I just found it. It's
What
The
track?
Weeknd, Take My Breath.
Mm.
It's a pretty dope track.
It is a good track.
And well, yeah, you know it, but you didn't know it was sampling from Supernature.
No, I didn't.
That's okay. But that, yeah, so you know that I don't listen to a lot of radio. I'm Take My Breath, Weekend, the sample in there is Cerrone, Supernature. So your mission is to check out the original.
That'd
So
be
I'll
cool.
school you tonight. So
All right.
Well, we had that show a while back where it's like it's cool sometimes to play the original when you know it's a sample,
I mean, this is a direct
because
ripoff
people
of
kind of flip
Supernature.
out.
I think Supernature is from like 78 or 79. This is not, I mean, it's a disco track. And it's not like, oh, well, it's got a little clip in it. No, it's looped.
Oh,
It's
we did.
Supernature.
Well, you missed it the other night. You weren't in the chill room, and I showed everyone Yolanda Be Cool, the
Yeah,
dance
we don't
and
speak
chant.
Americano. Oh, okay.
No, dance and chant.
No, I was here for that.
Oh, you were here, and then I dropped back to the original from '79,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
like a Casablanca thing, and it's like they absolutely covered it identical, just like Woman to
Casablanca.
Woman, with Joe Cocker and then Tupac and Dre. There's a lot of that
Right.
where it's fun sometimes. I play Ronnie Foster, Mystic Brew all the time. It's a big Kendrick Lamar sample. And when
But
I
I'm the
play
goofball who
instrumental,
says,
go,
That's
"Ooh,
Cerrone,
what's that?"
Supernature. What is this? And you're like, oh, yeah, the Weekend song.
But see,
Is that
that's
who that
the
is?
fun part.
Yeah, it is.
That's where we're DJs, Brian. You just proved the point perfectly. That's exactly why they hire us and pay all that money, because we're the ones in the know.
all that money, huh?
I listen
All that money.
If it's not money, it's not professional.
Go ahead, Joel.
I listen to Studio 54 on Sirius XM, and they have this new disco hour. It's a house remix, new disco, and
Yeah.
they're sampling a lot of late 70s, early 80s disco music. And I can hear the lyric come immediately.
Well, there's a lot of purple disco in there, like Jay was talking about earlier.
Oh, I love if you don't
Disco's
know
great.
Purple Disco Machine,
Yeah.
please check them out.
In fact, I
They're
think Purple
awesome.
Disco Machine hosts a show on 54.
He does at 11 o'clock. Let's see, from 10 to 11 every morning on Studio 54 radio.
Oh, I gotta check that. Yeah, I love his
Because
stuff.
I drive to work at that
Love.
time, and every time I turn it on, there he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff is
Well,
great.
kids,
Great.
I'm going to bounce because I got a lot of stuff to do. Got to get ready for my trip. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Thanks everybody for sticking around. Those of you who did stick around, and we'll open up the room just for people to hang out and stop this recording. We'll see you next week. Howie, Jay, Joel, thank you. Take care, everybody.